Well, friends of Mundo Maldini, here in the tranquility of the Radisson Blu Hotel in Liverpool, after this Liverpool 2, Real Madrid 0, let's go with the ratings of both teams in a match for which you already have the video I made for you from Anfield right after finishing the broadcast of the match on Movistar. Clear victory for Liverpool, surely a short victory for Liverpool. Yeah, we don't know what would have happened if Kylian Mbappé had scored that penalty, I know. But if we analyze the match, I believe it is indisputable that Liverpool was very superior and think the result was even short. Let's analyze the match also with the ratings of both teams, first Liverpool and then Real Madrid, because there has been a lot. Come on, let's go. Well, friends of Mundo Maldini, as you know, we sponsor here on your channel the city of Ceuta, which is a spectacular city that you must visit. And I am at the highest point of the city, the Isabel II viewpoint, and it is amazing. You can see some boats crossing the Strait of Gibraltar. The rock is right behind, and here we have part of the city of Ceuta, which is truly a marvel. A city that when you arrive, you fall in love with immediately. Just like we have all fallen in love with football, you know. You also fall in love with this city of Ceuta. Let's proceed with the match. Well, let's go, friends of Mundo Madrid. Tomorrow I have a trip back Madrid after this defeat of Real Madrid at Anfield. Every time I come to Anfield, the truth is that it is a temple of football. It is a spectacular stadium in every sense. And today Liverpool has removed the thorn of the 8 matches they had without winning against Real Madrid. In fact, they had only drawn 1 and lost 7, including 2 Champions League finals. Today they were very superior and clearly outperformed them, putting Real Madrid in a very serious problem, very serious in this Champions League. Let's go. The ratings of Liverpool first, friends of Mundo Madrid, and then I will focus on some more players from Real Madrid that I'm sure you are waiting for. I want your opinion in the comments, of course. Let's start with Liverpool. I insist Kelleher, well, he hardly had any work, but it is true that he saved a penalty. It wasn't a well-taken penalty by Mbappé, but logically, he guessed Mbappe's intention, guessed the side where Mbappé was going to shoot and saved that penalty. So just for that, he deserves a good rating. Then apart from that, he had a play very late that could have been the second goal already in stoppage time, but well, for me, a 7 for Kelleher. He saved a penalty that wasn't well taken, but he saved it. However, he didn't have much more work, so a 7. Kelleher. Bradley. Well, I mentioned in the Movistar broadcast that Arnold will likely leave Liverpool. His contract is ending and he will likely leave. And I'm not saying he is at Arnold's level because he isn't, Bradley, but he certainly has a good replacement. Liverpool doesn't have to worry too much about finding another right back because he continues to demonstrate the level he has. When he replaced Arnold due to injury, he did very well and had a great match, also coming down the right flank and especially detecting Madrid's problems very well in the second half by playing inside. In the end, Liverpool ended up pushing both fullbacks very high, very offensively because they had practically no fear since Madrid wasn't even counter-attacking. So Bradley, very well. Tomorrow we will make a wide scout video as soon as I arrive in Madrid, of course, and you will have it, an 8.5 for Bradley. It doesn't quite reach an outstanding grade, which he will see in Liverpool, but yes, an 8.5 for Bradley. Let's move on to Konate, who had a good match. Some plays from the back with the ball in possession were good. Konate also didn't have much work because Madrid attacked very little, but I give him a 7, a good grade for Konate. And I would say the same for Van Dijk. In the end, Van Dijk has also been impenetrable at many moments. There was only a moment when Madrid did press Liverpool a bit more. But I see him at a good level, not the best Van Dijk, but I have seen him at a very good level. So for me, another 7. The 2 centre-backs are more or less the same, a 7 for Van Dijk. Robertson has been the weakest link for Liverpool, to be honest. I've seen him attack quite a bit from the left front, but he hasn't gotten through much on his side and hasn't caused much damage. Andrew Robertson, who is true that he is not at his best moment anymore, a 6.5 for Andrew Robertson. One of the men of the match has been Gravenberch. A great game from Gravenberch. I've been warning about it. He is truly a player at a spectacular level. Today he played 4 threes in March with some small variation that I will tell you about tomorrow in the Wide Scout Report video. But he has hardly lost a single ball. He has played very well with the ball. Without the ball, he has organized the team and he has made some fantastic passes. For me, 9 for Gravenberch, a 9 for Gravenberch. Carty Jones, good choice because it was Jones and Szoboszlai in the midfield of Liverpool. And what Slot wanted, and it worked well, is to have a player who penetrates much more, who goes more into space, more back and forth, more dynamic than Szoboszlai. Less technical, but more dynamic. And it worked out very well. He had a very good match. Jones caused quite a bit of trouble for Madrid by coming inside. A lot of trouble for Real Madrid. For me, an 8 for Carthy. Jones is having a breakout season, playing at a great level, and that's why he has reached the English national team also playing in that position, getting closer to the area. Both the English coach Carsley, the current interim, and Slot, McAllister. Great match also for McAllister, who scored the first goal with that pass. By the way, I haven't mentioned it, with Bradley, who provides the assist for the first goal. And McAllister's shot is impeccable for Courtois, who logically could not do anything more against that shot. He has sometimes played close to Gravenberch's pivot, organizing, reaching the final third, always with a lot of intelligence in positioning, knowing where he needed to be. For me, he scored a goal. I'm going to give him a 9 as well. For me, McAllister's match was outstanding. For me, a 9 for McAllister as well. He also scored the first goal. And interestingly, the three forwards of Liverpool have not been at the level of other players on the team. For example, Mohamed Salah very good, has gone past several times, causing a penalty that he then missed. That also has to be taken into account logically in the rating. Missing a penalty has to be noted. Later, Mbappé missed a penalty that he shot wide, which would have made it 2-0. That moment, it gave Real Madrid an extra life that they were not able to take advantage of. For me, Salah, it's a 5.5, no more. Salah has some good dribbles, but no more than a 5.5 for Mohamed Salah, who can give much more. Darwin Núñez, well, has not been very good. He has been very combative. He had a chance in the first half that Courtois saved well with the score at 0-0. He also did not have an excessively brilliant match. For me, a 5 for Darwin Núñez, no more than a 5. I will try, but just barely. A 5 for the Uruguayan, for Darwin Núñez. I liked Luis Diaz a bit more than the other two. He has played in two positions. He played on the left, which is his natural position in the first half, then ended up playing as a striker, a position I mentioned during the broadcast, where he played the match against Bayer Leverkusen as a centre forward, and I think he had a good game. Luis Diaz has had more dribbling. He has generated a bit more danger than Salah and Darwin Núñez. I'm going to give him a 6.5, but I already say that the three forwards of Liverpool have been below several other players on the team. 6.5, Luis Diaz. And we have Gakpo, who came in during the second half and scored the second goal. Logically, a very good rating. He ended up playing on the left in the 4-3-3 formation. He positioned himself on the left to put Luis Diaz as a striker. For me, a 7.5, scoring the second goal, a 7.5 for Gakpo. And then both Szoboszlai and Joe Gomez played very few minutes, and I am not going to rate them. They came on with the match practically resolved. And we finish with Slot, with the coach Slot, the coach of Liverpool. Well, great approach. It is true that in the first half, Madrid managed to make Liverpool uncomfortable. It wasn't a back-and-forth match, but they never got nervous. Yusan has seen the weakness of Real Madrid, has seen that they were superior, has pushed the fullbacks much higher, has urged the team to press higher, has come out much more aggressively, and has overwhelmed Real Madrid in the second half. The reality is that in the second half, Liverpool overwhelmed Real Madrid. So I am going to give Sloth an 8.5. It doesn't reach an outstanding rating because it doesn't require a very special game direction, but definitely an 8.5 for what he is doing and for what he did in the match. And let's talk about Real Madrid, friends of Mundo Maldini, where there are both positives and negatives. Logically, the best has been Courtois. Courtois today prevented what could have been a rout, which we would see. I believe Ancelotti is on thin ice right now. I am convinced he is on thin ice. But a rout by Madrid could have precipitated something even more serious for Ancelotti. Even after this match, I'm not saying it wouldn't. And Courtois prevented it. He made 3 or 4 fantastic saves. One from Luis Diaz at the end, which would have made it 3-0. He had a couple of very good interventions with a score of 0-0. That is to say, he has been the best for Real Madrid. I am going to give him a 9 for the 2 goals. He practically couldn't do anything. First, it's a crossed shot from McAllister. It catches him off guard. There's little he can do. And the second is a shot practically from the small area. No one defends Gaspois there. So a 9 for Thibaut Courtois, who has been one of the few who has really been at the level required for a team like Real Madrid. Fede Valverde, I say it again, in the end. Valverde as a right back, yes, against Leganés he scored a goal and so on, against teams like that. But when the level really rises, when Real Madrid faces the truly big teams in the Champions League, Fede Valverde is an emergency solution as a right back. I'm not saying he is playing badly and Valverde hasn't played a bad match, but he is needed much more in midfield. In fact, then he ends up bringing in Lucas Vázquez, who has done much more in attack than Valverde as a right back. Lucas Vázquez, we will discuss it later. For me, a 6 for Valverde, a decent score because it's not his position and he wasn't comfortable. It's true that he also didn't read the game often. Luis Diaz on the left wing, Asensio. Well, I liked Asensio's match. He got a yellow card right at the start for that scuffle with Darwin Núñez, who was trying to provoke him. I think he was a bit inexperienced with that play, but then with the yellow card, he held on for the whole match. Don't recall any mistakes from him. So I think what happens is that Madrid lost 2-0 It could have been even worse. And they didn't have that match to come out in the headlines in golden letters, not at all. But I think he deserves a 7. I think he has been remarkable. Asensio. We must consider that he is a young guy who is just starting to show his teeth at the highest level. Rudiger. Well, the play for the 2-0 is not well defended by either of the centre-backs. That's evident. He also hasn't had practically any impact in attack. I'm going to give Rudiger a 6. Doesn't deserve more than a 6 for Rudiger. Defensively, Madrid hasn't been bad. They made the mistake for the 2-0, but it hasn't been a catastrophic match. Defensively, it was a match where the opponent was superior. Madrid has managed to slow down the game. They have that player at a slow pace at many moments, but it doesn't suit Madrid. It doesn't work against the big teams in Europe right now. That's the reality. With the absences they had, it hasn't worked. It didn't work against Milan. It barely worked against Dortmund with that final push, and it hasn't worked against Liverpool. And we'll see if it works or not against Atalanta, which is going to be a terrible match. Mendy, terrible match for Mendy, terrible. I've said it during the broadcast a couple of times. Sometimes he has hindered Mbappé on the left wing. He made the penalty mistake just when I was going to substitute him. He was going to come off for Fran Garcia because I was going to make the change right in the last play. He committed the penalty on Salah that cost him a yellow card. It's true that Salah then missed the penalty, but very poor in the delivery. It was really terrible match for Mendy. A 3 for Mendy, a 3. One of the worst of Real Madrid. Camavinga, very good, very good. Great match for Camavinga. It's a shame about the injury, but I think he was the only one who held the midfield. What is clear is that he had to run practically for several, not for all, because Bellingham also made a great effort, but he had to run a lot. So in the end, he ended up feeling it and got injured. But it seems to me that he deserves an 8. I think he was being the best of Real Madrid. One thing is that Madrid hasn't had depth and hasn't threatened practically. And another thing is that they haven't had players who, in the aspect they needed to shine, have shown. For example, Camavinga seems to me to deserve an 8, and when he got injured, Madrid clearly collapsed with a bang, definitely. Luka Modric. Let's see. He tried to maintain control in the first half and held up quite well, but then the match passed over him when Liverpool went on the attack. Luka Modric with a 5, friends from Mundo Maldini. I think he doesn't deserve more than a 5. He deserves a 5 and not much more. Let's move on to Jude Bellingham. Let's see. I value Jude Bellingham's match a lot. He has put in effort from start to finish. He has put in effort from start to finish. I have the feeling that he's realizing that he can't do it all in Madrid's midfield. He ended up physically destroyed. I think he wasn't in good physical shape. I saw him a bit off physically at times, but he has exhausted himself. But of course, Yusuf had several touches, back control, and extended some plays. I liked Jude Bellingham's match in many phases, but he couldn't deliver. Because if the team doesn't help you, then he couldn't deliver for Jude Bellingham. Well, I'm going to give Jude Bellingham a 6.5, a 5. Arda Güler. Güler is going to fail. Güler has a failing grade in this match, because I think he looked a bit soft. A match of high demand. I say the same again. When the level rises, and this level was at its maximum in Anfield, he had quite a few errors in the final meters, hardly participated. He didn't create danger. And I was quite disappointed with Arda Güler today. I have to say it, I asked for Arda Güler and today he disappointed me. Well, we have to keep waiting for this kid who I think has the talent to play in these matches, but for now it may be a bit early. Today it certainly wasn't just his fault, but he was quite bad for me. A 4 for Güler. Arda Güler fails. Ibrahim. Liked Ibrahim's match. I liked Ibrahim's Wijnaldum's match quite a bit. It was Ancelotti's decision. He played as a false 9. Sometimes he moved behind the striker. I changed his position. I put him more on the left in the final stretch of the match. And I think he fought without the ball. He worked. He pressed. I think he has been one of the most interesting players for Madrid as well. A 7 for Ibrahim. And you are waiting for Kylian Mbappe's rating. Well, of course, Kylian Mbappe is going to fail. How could Kylian Mbappe not fail in this match? How is he going to pass? And I said it in the video right after finishing at Anfield. I am not going to base it on the penalty because a penalty can be missed. Let's see, the best players in the history of football have missed penalties. We have seen them miss. A penalty does not seem like a reason to condemn a footballer because first you have to have the personality to want to take it. He missed it, he took it poorly, he missed it perfectly. But in the match he had a couple of breakthroughs, but I saw him timid. I think he is very low in morale. You can see his movements. I said it in the Leganés match, and I say it again today. He looks low in morale, he finishes poorly, He needs a great match, and today was the match. Vinicius is not there. You are the center of all attention. A match quite favourable to exploit your characteristics against a Liverpool that will leave you spaces. Well, today Mbappé could have had a big opportunity. It was either a grand entrance or the infirmary for Mbappé. Well, it has been the infirmary, obviously. He came out of the match very affected and has been very criticised with total reason. 3 for Mbappé. Clear fail for Mbappé. Kylian Mbappé. But the substitutes? Lucas Vázquez. Well, the truth is that he has done well. Lucas Vázquez came in and contributed much more in attack than Valverde was contributing at right back. He caused a penalty that was then missed. Mbappé had a couple more plays in attack, but of the few shots Real Madrid made, he was responsible for them. A ball that Kelleher easily saved, so a 7 for Lucas Vázquez. Ceballos came on in the second half and certainly was not a solution in any way. He was not a solution for the midfield at all. I'm going to give him a 4.5. Ceballos has practically contributed nothing to Real Madrid's midfield. That's the reality. Fran Garcia ended up with a yellow card. Controlling the game is difficult. He came on for Mendy right after the penalty with the match still very open at just 0. But he couldn't do much more in attack and didn't arrive. A flat 5 for Fran Garcia. I'm not going to rate Endrick. He did earn a yellow card. However, I won't rate him. Endrick came on very rushed. He has too few minutes, that's for sure. So without a rating, he played very few minutes. And we finish with Carlo Ancelotti. Ancelotti is very much in the spotlight. Let's see. He is the coach of Real Madrid, friends of the Madrid world. Madrid cannot afford to lose 3 out of 5 matches in the Champions League. Right now, he is on the brink. I'm not saying of elimination because that would be a bit of an exaggeration, but I think it's already extremely difficult to make it into the top 8, even by winning the 3 remaining matches. I believe that in the end, by winning 2 out of the 3 matches, you qualify for the playoffs. But you qualify for the playoffs in the lower mid-zone, and then you will face a team from the upper playoff zone. Be careful with what the draw for Real Madrid could be. But well, regarding field direction, it is true that the approach was interesting and it made sense to want to have a lot of control, and he has done it. And Madrid has controlled Liverpool quite well, within the possibilities quite well, but in the end, it fell apart because the team did not threaten. They tried to change some positions. It is true that with the changes the team has made, it improved until Mbappé missed the penalty. Those were quite good minutes, but doesn't give me enough to try. Ancelotti cannot give me enough to try after losing so clearly and with a match that could have been a rout. It doesn't give me enough to try it. Obviously a 4 for Carlo Ancelotti, 2009, who comes out just like Mbappé, obviously quite marked. Well, this is what it is. Friends of Mundo Maldini, Madrid's defeat 2-0 tomorrow. I will comment on the match between Real Betis and Bleslav in the conference on Movistar. You will also have a Wise Cow report video of the match. We continue because the league returns and a bunch of matches return. There is a league match during the week and then the Champions Match Day returns, which is going to be impressive with the tremendous matches. Hug, bye, 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 bye.